What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another uniform review video. Alright, so we're going to be taking a look at Spider-Man in this video here. So we have his two new Far From Home uniforms to look at. We have the stealth suit, and then we have the nice classic look here. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. So the uniform bonus for both the uniforms is going to be the same. We have apply to self, increased dodge rate by 25%, 35% chance when attacking to get the all attack 10%, all speed 10%, and crit rate by 10%. And then it will remove incapacitation, 5 seconds with a 5-second cooldown. So if you get lucky with the 35% chance when attacking, this can be up the entire fight. We have 3 skill changes on both of the uniforms here. The skills, though, are slightly different between the two uniforms, so you do want to take that into account here if you're going to be just buying one of the uniforms, or if you do want to buy both of them for the synergy bonus, then of course they will rank up for each other, so you only have to get one of them to mythic for the other one to be at mythic. And I did already buy the stealth suit because that's the one I liked the most so far, but I mainly just bought it just because I have all of the red suit Spider-Mans here, so I was like, you know what, I want to get something a little bit different. I'm going to buy the stealth suit just because it looks different. So I purchased this before really going over these skills. But so for the skills here, the second skill change, we're going to have stun, fracture, and web on it. The web's only 1 second now, so this is a little bit shorter. Well, with the Infinity War, he doesn't have a web, I don't think, on that. Oh, it's 1 second as well. Maybe that is the same, but then the fourth skill here, we've got fracture again, which is nice, and then we've got the 30% burn damage, which will not apply to world bosses. We have decrease all speed, minus 10%. We have a 2-second web and 2-second stun. The fifth skill here, we have 2 seconds of web. We've got some more burn damage, another fracture. So all 3 of his skills here do have fracture on it now for the changed skills. And then we have ignore invisibility, target for 75% for 5 seconds, which it's really weird how they worded it here. It says ignore invisibility. So it's like you would think when he's using this attack, then the attack itself would ignore someone that's invisible. Which it might, but it also turns him invisible because it says apply to self there. Yeah, it says apply to self instead of apply to enemies, so that's probably why. But yeah, he does turn invisible. I'm just kind of confused why it says ignores invisibility instead of, I don't know, invisibility or something, or invisibility for, or wait, invisibility by 75% for, I don't know, 5 seconds. Whatever it is, the wording is just a little confusing to me, but yes, you do turn invisible. And then it doesn't show it here, but we do have changes to the tier 3 as well on him for the animation and the effects. But for the red suit here, the tier 3 is only getting an animation change. It doesn't have any additional effects, at least not that I noticed. So if we switch over here, the second skill is going to give us stun and webbing for 3 seconds. So we have longer crowd control here, but we do not have fracture. Then the fourth skill here, we're going to have shock damage instead of burn damage. And then we're going to have all defense down, which is specific to just this suit here, at least for the fourth skill. But from what I've been hearing, this does not apply to World Boss Ultimate, so do keep that in mind as of right now when I'm doing this video, unless Netmarble changes something here, which I don't know if they will or not, because it seems a little inconsistent between the two uniforms, so I'll have to wait and see. But for right now, it does not apply to World Boss Ultimate. And then he's got 2 seconds of webbing on there. And then the fifth skill here, he's going to get a kind of self buff and all attack, all defense, and all speed. So that is specific to this uniform, which makes me think that they intended this uniform to be more for PvE content, and then the stealth suit to be more for PvP content, because fracture is very valuable in PvP. So that was kind of the vibe that I was getting reading the skills here. But the change to the tier 3 skill on the stealth suit Spider-Man seems to be a lot better for PvE, and that kind of outweighs the buff that we're getting here on the red suit Spider-Man, because the change for well, actually can we go ahead and take a look here? I guess I got to go over to my team here, grab the stealth suit, and then if we go over to the character detail here, or the book, you can actually see the ultimate skill. So if we go first to the red suit here, we'll see that the tier 3 skill is pretty much exactly the same. I don't think it has changed at all. Oh, there's something changed in here because it looks like a little longer text, or maybe I'm just seeing things. 4 second 2 oh, the paralyze is gone. Oh no, the paralyze is just below the shock damage there. Oh, okay, so the shock damage is added. So there was something that was added, but none of the important stuff has changed. The ignore defense, the all attack boost, the chance to penetrate, the dodge increase, the ignore dodge, and all of that is exactly the same here. So nothing is too important in terms of changes for the tier 3 skill. But then we move over to the stealth suit Spider-Man and we take a look here at the changes to his tier 3. We do see an addition, of course, to, we go down a little bit for the apply to self. We have that weirdly worded ignores invisibility again, where he does turn invisible at the end of the tier 3 skill. But if we look a little bit above that, we see that there are 2 all defense downs now. So yes, he added an all defense down, so that minus 15 to all defense that stacks up to minus 75% is new and only for the stealth suit Spider-Man in the tier 3 tab, and that does apply to World Boss Ultimate. So that's what makes the stealth suit a lot more compelling for PvE content, because of that all defense down that will stack on World Boss Ultimate. But keep in mind that it will be at the very end of the tier 3, which is a little bit annoying. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So let's jump into the skill preview. So hop in here. So for the skill changes, we have the 2nd, 4th, and 5th. So the first skill is the same. The third skill is the same when comparing to the Infinity War uniform. And then the second skill here, it is an iframe, which is really nice. He does a kind of run and kick. He webs them up and does a few more kicks on them. And then we have the 4th skill here, jumps up in the air, kind of similar to his previous 4th skill, except a lot less, I don't know, a lot less AoE in terms of the kind of duration of the skill. So a lot less residual damage, that's the word I'm looking for. So a lot less residual damage. You get all the damage kind of up front here, just boom, all at once, instead of keeping all of the kind of debris flying around the area. And then the 5th skill here, which is really cool, he does a lot of spins. We got the cars coming down, kind of reminds you of Magneto a little bit. And we got the lamp post, or the stoplight right there, that he comes down on top of, and that does more damage with another kind of explosion at the end there, which is pretty nice. So 5th skill is really cool. And then we got a delayed effect from, I don't know if we can see it here, but he drops like little webbing bombs on the ground. So right here, yeah, see those little red beeping things? Yeah, with the little spinning, yeah, see the spinning light? When enemy gets close to that, it detonates, and then it shoots off kind of webbing, which is really cool. And now for the tier 3 that I was telling you about with the kind of delayed on the animation. So here, if we go into the tier 3, all of that is exactly the same. All the same right there. Boom, boom, boom. And then right here is the additional effect that we have. So boom, wait a second. And then he dropped a web bomb right there. That web bomb is what applies the all defense down. So you're not going to be able to do the tier 3 skill with the all defense down. You can only do it on your next set of skills, which is a little annoying. I kind of would have liked the tier 3 skill to be able to take advantage of the all defense down. But after you get that all defense down, you go back into your 4-5 kind of combo right here, and that can do some serious damage. Just kind of a pretty big increase here. So what I was looking at, I was doing a little bit of comparisons here. So for the kind of original Spider-Man, or the Infinity War Spider-Man uniform that most people's probably going to have, I was doing some testing on Proxima stage 49 with no strikers. I just wanted to do a really high stage so that the damage difference would be a little more noticeable, because then I'm not hitting her quite as hard and I'm not moving her into the next phase for her to kind of interrupt me. And the normal kind of 4 cancel into 5 for your damage proc on the Infinity War uniform was only getting me about 10 to 15% damage, so very, very light. And then the tier 3 skill was only hitting for about 20 to 30%, maybe 35% if the damage proc was like really, really on point. So nothing too crazy there, and that's the Infinity War uniform. So now if we move on to the stealth suit uniform, the stealth suit with the 4 cancel 5, I was getting more like 30 to 35% from that, so a pretty big difference. His 4-5 combo with the stealth suit was hitting for about the same as the tier 3 skill, so that's a pretty big boost. And it's still hitting for about the same in terms of the tier 3 skill on the stealth suit as well, because that did not seem to change. The tier 3 was still hitting for about 30 to 35%, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 40% with the stealth suit. So the tier 3 didn't really get much of a boost in terms of damage between the two uniforms, between his old uniform and the new one. So nothing too crazy there. But after that bomb goes off and we get the all defense down, then I was doing the 4 cancel 5 with the stealth suit, and I was starting to see a little bit of a different picture there. So now it's getting more like 50 to 60% kind of on average. And then when I got like a really good timing on my damage proc with the 4 cancel 5 and the all defense down, I was getting almost a full bar, 80 to a full bar, like 80% of a bar, maybe a full bar. So pretty big difference there when that all defense down was timed like on point with the stealth suit. So the stealth suit is looking really good for PvE content, but I do not have the red suit Spider-Man. So if we switch over to the red suit for the homecoming update here, switch over to him, you'll see that the skills look a little bit more kind of PvE orientated. So the second skill is the exception there. That kind of groups them up. It is not an iframe, so it's not safe to use, which I'm not sure why they took away the iframe on this suit when the stealth suit does have an iframe. But anyway, the fourth skill here, boom, as you can see, we have a lot more kind of residual damage going on with the, well, that's mainly from the shock, I guess, so it's pretty comparable, the fourth skill. But then the fifth skill that has the self buff is a lot more hits, it looks like. Yeah, a lot more hits, and it's a lot quicker as well, so you can get it through the damage proc, and we have a little bit more residual damage, because I think with the stealth suit, my damage proc was kind of ending at the very end when I'm getting that last hit with him coming down on the stoplights. So yeah, I mean, it takes the full 5 seconds, but overall it just looks like the skill animations for this suit seem to have been more designed for PvE, but the stealth suit seems to perform better though in PvE and PvP content. So right now I think the stealth suit is going to be my choice out of the two, unless they change something, because if the all defense down on the fourth skill here starts applying to World Boss Ultimate, I think the red suit might do a little bit better in PvE content, just because we can consistently get that all defense down going more often instead of relying on your tier 3 skill to get the all defense down, because that 20% all defense down on the tier 3 skill does not apply to the world boss. It never has for any variation of Spider-Man, so that's why that extra all defense down on a separate line there, so it's like, you know, separated, so you can kind of tell that the two all defense downs are completely different from each other. We have the minus 20 that's stacked up to, I don't remember what it stacked up to. I don't think it was 75% like the other one, but it stacks up to whatever value it stacks up to, and then you have the minus 15 that stacks up to the 75% that does work. So anyway, overall, my kind of first impressions on the two uniforms here for Spider-Man Far From Home is that the stealth suit looks to be the superior of the two in terms of what it's doing right now. But if there seems to be a bug for some reason, as in maybe they intended the stealth suit to just have the invisibility on the tier 3 skill, and then the all defense down was meant for this red suit one, and the red suit was meant to get the all defense down on all of the skills, like the fourth skill and the tier 3, and then the stealth suit was meant to get the invisibility on the fifth skill and the tier 3, then that would make maybe a little bit more sense in terms of balancing them for mainly PvP and mainly PvE. So if that's the case, and say they get rid of the all defense down on the stealth suit, then definitely I think that suit's going to be underperforming in PvE compared to the red suit, if they then add that all defense down to the red suit Spider-Man here for his tier 3. So yeah, I'm just a little confused on their design on the two uniforms, just because the stealth suit seems so much better for both game modes right now, mainly because of that all defense down working everywhere, and that invisibility, I mean, is really good in every game mode. Of course, it's going to be a little more valuable in PvP, but in PvE, when you turn invisible, then the world boss, you know, is not going to be hitting you. It's not even going to be trying to attack you. So it's kind of the equivalent of having them charmed or mind controlled. So it's a really valuable thing for World Boss Ultimate. So anyway, that's just going to be my 2 cents on the two uniforms here. Let me know what you guys think of the new uniforms, or if you're going to wait until maybe they mention anything, if there's going to be any changes to the uniforms, any balancing or anything like that. Because right now I would basically recommend the stealth suit if you're kind of on the fence between the two, because that one does seem to perform better in all game modes right now, whereas the red suit is falling behind. It's by no means a bad uniform. It just seems to do a little bit worse in both PvE and PvP than the stealth suit. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.